Hey traders, happy Monday and happy February. Hope you all had a great weekend. It was Super Bowl weekend and Groundhog's Day. So here we are, February 3rd through the 7th. It's a weekly outlook here. My name is Chris Pulver. Nice to be with all of you. Very interesting week last week. Markets were down. The spread of coronavirus, the threat, the quarantines of coronavirus having the world on high alert had everybody scared. The Dow Jones finished down 2.5% last week. The S&P down over 2%. The Nasdaq down just shy at 1.75%. Bitcoin made a nice little run. We're actually across the $9,000 mark on Bitcoin. Treasuries continue to fall. The 10-year U.S. Treasury notes at 1.509%. We had pretty strong earnings for the week. Tesla made new highs well over $600. We had Facebook reports, which were solid. This week, the big news on Monday, more than likely President Trump will be acquitted. The Senate passed a 51-49 vote in favor of, I don't know what the details were, but something about certain evidence or certain testimonies or witnesses are not going to be presented, and therefore it's pretty much a done deal that he will be acquitted because the Senate majority will make it so. So it looks like the impeachment process is done. State of the Union from President Trump will be Tuesday, so the 4th of February. We'll see how the markets bounce back, if there's going to be a bounce. I mean, I've been seeing plenty of reports of expect 5%, 6%, 10%. Don't buy the dip, stuff like that, which we'll see. I mean, we had about a 3.5% correction last week on the S&P 500. So I'm watching the numbers. I'm looking at the percentages to see what the correction is across the board. It seems like the big threat right now is coronavirus. To put it in perspective, if you compare this to SARS, compare this to H1N1 or swine flu, the cases are still mildly less. But obviously, it's a big deal. There are quarantines, there are cases, and I'm sure there's a lot that is going unreported as well. Hopefully, the CDC and the WHO will start to get things under wrap, and we'll move on to some other news cycle, because I'm currently looking at a lot of good charts and a lot of good technicals, and it seemed like we had a bit of a rationality last week with Japanese yen strength. The Swiss franc was extremely strong. We had an interesting week on the pound. The pound was up firm on Thursday last week. And then didn't really do much on Friday, and today the pound is getting smoked. So I'm going to get into the charts here in just a little bit. Hopefully you're all keeping up with my modules. My Keep It Seriously Simple video series is available on YouTube. It looks something like this. And you can also find me out there on social media on Instagram, pulver.chris, Twitter at pulverchris, and Facebook, YouTube. Just look up my name. So let's get into the charts and kick it off. Here's the dollar index again for the day. We had a end of the week on Friday. Dollar finished a little bit lower. I'm looking for some massive resistance. We're right back up to highs. Looks like the dollar's continuing to get some bids to the upside for now. Here's what the currency strength chart looks like this morning. This is what I'm talking about. This green line represents the pound. Look at it from Friday's trading. We had pound was very strong continuing from Thursday. We had the Swiss, the yen, the euro all stronger. The dollar took a little bit of a hit on Friday. Along with the commodity pairs. This is the CAD, New Zealand, Aussie was getting crushed pretty much all of last week. And then we go into today's trading. We have the Aussie on top. We have the New Zealand in second. The dollar still firm. The euro, the Swiss, and the pound. Big drop on the pound. So when we get to the pound pairs, remember, we were looking at this last week on Thursday, short-term trading. I will give you all a very simple strategy. Many of you have probably seen it in my trading room. And elsewhere, it's a super easy way to trade the London session on pound pairs, and today would have been a easy day to make 50 plus pips on the pound crosses, and just sometimes it sets up, sometimes it doesn't, but today was one of those days where it was a lot of volatility on the pound, and what we had setting up last week made it a great trade going into this week. So dollar's firm so far, still looking at the same levels here, and in the spirit of holding some negative positions. I looked at my P&L last night. I have probably 30 plus positions open right now, and about 25 of them are negative. So in a bit of my own personal protest, and again, I say negative like I'm holding positions. So don't think like, oh, what are you going to do? You're a terrible trader. No, I'm holding positions. All right. But in the spirit of that, if you look at some of my YouTube videos in the coming weeks, I will be growing a bit of a protest beard so I can start getting those positions back in order. So feel free to, tell me I look terrible with the beard, because I'm going to be growing one until my positions turn right side up and I'm ready to bank some profits for this quarter. Anyway, that's a side note, but dollar index, I'm looking at this resistance zone, previous highs back from last year in August and September, same levels there. And also the, DXY, I'm watching that DXY at 100, as well as this larger dollar index, around 13,000, around 12,600. So between the DXY, if it hits 100.00, or the US dollar, this is the FXCM US dollar index, they're weighted slightly differently, but I like the DXY because of the history. We go back to 12,600. So either these previous highs from September of 2019 or this high, which is back in 2016, if we reject off that high here, that's about the, kind of the maximum move that I think the dollar could make before we get a big drop. And again, this is something I've been planning since 2018, 2019. Here we are in a brand new year with an election year. I think that if the stock market is going to continue to have a good year, and we're going to see any expansions or higher highs, I think the dollar does have to drop. Whether that's the Fed that makes that happen or something in and around the U.S. election, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm watching all these areas for a big technical reason to sell the dollar. Let's go into a pound pair. So like I said, for anybody that's watching that's not in my trading room or hasn't been around for any of my classes or education, here's a really simple way to trade the London session. Here's a 1 hour chart. And this morning, think of it this way. If you are in the UK, there is a London Open. So UK time is 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Or in the US, I'm on Eastern Standard Time. That is 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Okay? So 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. UK time, or US Eastern Standard Time, 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. Here's what it looks like. I'm just going to find that candle right here, I believe. That's last night. Where's my 3 a.m.? There it is. So this is my 3 a.m. I'm going to zoom in on that candle right here. Okay, there's my 3 a.m. Let me verify that again. So this is 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. this morning. And last week we were looking for, I'll make this a little bit smaller. We were looking for the pound to sell off on Friday. Sometimes Fridays are a bit of an inactivity day. That's what Friday was last week. We didn't have a lot of movement on the pound pairs. The pound moved short-term strength on Thursday because of a dissenting vote from the Monetary Policy Committee. This is, let's see, last week. Let's go to Thursday. So the forecast was 0.36, and this 3 was supposed to be a dovish vote from 3 members of the Monetary Policy Committee. Instead, they came out at 0.27. The initial reaction on the morning was stronger pound. So last week, this is the move right here. That is the stronger move on the pound from last week, Thursday. So Thursday it pushes up, Thursday it pushes up, stalls during the dead zone, pushes up again on Friday. We also had Aussie weakness, so this continued to push higher. But what are we doing? Look at how this move right here has now balanced most of the way, all the way back into where that started the breakout from last week. So long story short, we had this run, and I call these levels and efficiencies. I like to think of these as pockets. There's a nice pocket right in there. There's a nice pocket right in there. And lo and behold, look at where price is falling. Right back to it. So an easy way to trade that, if you're not able to, draw a trend line or catch this top or start trading early on Sunday, what you do is you look for this London session open. So there's your candle right there. The easy way to trade this is my personal favorite. So I block in my 1 hour candle right there. Okay, I block that 1 hour candle, and then I go down to a 5-minute chart. And on this 5-minute time frame, I'm looking for a confirmed breakout above or below. And in this case, you can see that if we zoom in, this candle breaks below. It's 4:10 a.m. Eastern time. So this is just after that candle closes, 4:10. You have a body closing lower. Now, what I like to see is 1 candle closing lower, 2 candles closing lower. This is where we're selling. You can put your stop loss halfway back into this range, and from there you're looking for that push to the downside. So you can see that the morning's flow from the breakout right in here, either you take this sell trade, which would be a close around 95.89, and currently we're all the way down to 94.40. So 9589 minus 94.40, if you let that run for the morning, you're up 149 pips just on this one currency pair. If you look at the pound crosses this morning, you're going to see a very similar move on every pound pair. So for the pound Aussie, pound CAD, pound Swiss, they're selling, and you're looking at probably 100 to 150 pips on most of those currency pairs, all moving bearish because of a weaker pound. So it's a big drop on the pound, and it's an easy way to trade the London session breakout. So what do you have? If you follow my YouTube videos, I'm going to talk about this a lot. You're going to see this repeated. Price action. We break and close, we pull back and retest, and we go. And then we go sideways, and then we have a little delay, and we break out, and we go lower, and it pulls back again. In fact, I can probably use a straight line right here. off of this low, and you're going to see that this support and this support becomes resistance right there, right? So we break, we pull back, we go. We pause, we break again, we pull back, and we go. So this is all a pullback, and then it goes again. So you have a push, pause, and another push to get you to current time. So really simple way to trade it. This is not some new strategy. This is just a really simple way that I like to trade the London breakout. I use the 1 hour structure, but I like the 5-minute price action so you can get a little bit more precision. Whether you're correct in the trade or you're incorrect in the trade, you can figure out where to stop yourself out much faster. You can figure out when to get that confirmation much faster. And with just some really simple price action knowledge, this is just like intraday trading. So the good thing on the pound crosses is this is fairly consistent. The pound pairs have higher volatility and higher daily trading ranges. So it's a really nice way. So if you like that, then trade it. It's pretty easy. All right, so let's go into the other charts. Let's take a look. I said Bitcoin is over $9,000, which it is. So here's Bitcoin right here. On the daily, we're still on that corrective move. 8150 was the yearly pivot. We have broken that. Any pullback, I'm interested in buying the dip. So I'm looking to see, are we establishing some type of channel on Bitcoin that we had this corrective move? Now we're looking for this push. I think this is a nice bottoming point. I'd like to see if we can have a bullish channel to get back into 13.7 or higher. I would love to see this get back to 20,000. In fact, I took a look at my Coinbase account from having Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ripple and Ethereum. I am up about 250%, which I'm pretty happy with. And that's only at current levels. So let alone if we get back to the 2019 highs or we get back to the 2017 highs, I'll be pretty excited to see what that Coinbase account looks like and those holdings look like. So I'm still bullish on cryptos, and I'm still bullish on Bitcoin. And the next big level for me is once we get above 13.7 or 13,700 is, can we break that and keep going? Can we, close in on 20K? Let's take a look at oil. Oil's had a really nice slide to the downside, but I told traders, look, we came down to these lows around $50, $51. Look for support. Now, don't be surprised this week if we start to see some bottoming here. This has been a really aggressive fall. I do see some inefficiencies on this fall, which mean find support. There's support. There's support. There's support. There's support. An aggressive trend line could certainly help you get some confirmation. If we see some bullish candlestick formations, that's a great sign too to pull back into this area. So I still think that this level holds. And yes, we might dip and tap $50, but look for an indecision candle or look for something bullish and see if oil pops back up above $50. So currently trading around 51, but you can see, look left, this is strong support. So I think oil is going to make a little recharge and resurface to some strength this week. Let's go into gold and silver. So here is gold. Gold is sitting at 1576. Even with the threat of the coronavirus, you notice that gold has not made new highs. So if gold settles back down, I think that the VIX will settle back down. I think that the dollar will stay somewhat firm right now. But if gold can't take out these highs, then that risk-off type environment might start to dissipate. Like I said, if gold falls and the VIX falls, I think the stock markets will ultimately start to look good once again. All right, silver, XAG USD. Silver is sideways, again, not taking out highs from 2019, not taking out the high here during the holiday. We'll see if silver ends up settling back down into $15 or $14. Let's get into currency pairs. Aussie CAD, a lot of my positions are the same. Like I said, I'm growing a protest beard right now to make sure that I'm getting these trades back into profit. Here's one. I am buying low, and I'm looking to get this back to 91. We have a pivot at 91.80. We have a pivot at 94.87. We have a pivot at 96.50. We have an outer trend line that if I extend this over is back around 91.50. So I'm interested in buying the Aussie CAD. I'm interested in getting this back to this outer trend line and get into this year's pivot, using these equal lows to buy from and just trading inside the two trend lines. So it's not a bullish head and shoulders. We did make some new lows last week, but I'm noticing, and this is one of my favorite things, I like to see lows in price and disagreement in momentum. So if this starts to make its way back up, hopefully we will stay inside this range. Support holds, we go from lows back to highs. Anything around 9100 to 9120, I'm definitely going to book some profits. Yes, I want to get to 9180. Yes, I want this to go a lot higher, but because I bought nice and low, I have a lot of profit to consider protecting from 8900 to 9100. I would definitely like to take those 200 pips. All right. Aussie Swiss. This one got pretty ugly last week. Aussie Swiss, we have lows in August 2019. We broke those lows. What I'm watching for, again, on the daily is we have new lows in price. Okay, so you see that lows in price, lows in price, lows in price. I'm looking to see what happens this week. All right, if we end up, making a charge to the upside and recovering, then this low and this low, this just becomes a really ugly kind of fake out low. This might be a nice little bottom for this pair to recover. We are sitting at 20-year lows on the Aussie Swiss. That is something I'm considering. We are plastered here at the bottom on the stochastic RSI. If I go to a higher time frame, here's the weekly. We are plastered on the bottom on the weekly as well. So from an oscillator standpoint, I'm looking for a turn. From a technical standpoint, I'm looking for a turn. I'm holding out for 7,000. I mean, I'm looking at big profit potential on this Aussie Swiss. I'm just in, and obviously in when this thing has been dropping consistently. We are in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row bearish. We'll see what this week does. So, I mean, considering what I'm doing with these trades, I'm in, I'm long. This week's candle is going to be extremely important to make sure this doesn't get out of hand. It is a threat, right? I mean, the coronavirus and risk-off trading tends to favor the Japanese yen, tends to favor the Swiss franc. And even though this is at these great lows, this might be one of those trades where it just is irrational a little bit longer, and then eventually it comes back and balances. But 5 weeks in a row, a nice little U-turn so far for today. Hopefully we can sustain some Aussie strength this week. Okay, so that's Aussie Swiss, Aussie JPY. Again, pretty nasty week on the yen pairs to the downside. It was easy to trade if you were scalping. So for example, and I talk about this quite a bit, take a look at my right trader strategy. Okay, right trader on a 15-minute or 30-minute chart. We were talking about this last week in my trading room for a potential trade back up to this price gap. But I was only interested in that gap if we were much, much lower. So on the 30-minute chart, look, this right trader system, here's what it does. Visually, all you're doing is you're selling, right? This is in the sell zone because we have price in the sell zone. We have the blue ribbon into the shaded area. That to me is confirmation that we're in the sell zone. So we have a sell zone opportunity, 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 sell zone opportunity. How do we get those sell zone trades? You can probably see that when price pushes down, makes a point for the bears, pulls back to this blue ribbon, I'm looking for another retest and fail, push lower. Retest and fail, push lower, right? So we're seeing lower highs and lower lows. So every time we score a point for those bears, we look for a pullback, and then we can sell a red candle. So we go down here, we pull back. This is about where we started addressing this on Tuesday in my trading room. And here's what I expected. And I did not take the Aussie yen, right? And I mean, in hindsight, I can look back and say, oh, how easy was that last week? Yeah, it was easy. If you sold it at 73.80, you had about 120 pips worth of movement in your favor. Okay, we ended up selling the CAD yen, which was a great trade because we pushed down, pulled back to fill the gap, and then pushed for the rest of the week to the downside. That was a really nice trade based on some price action, and that gap was filled. All right, this gap still exists, and more than likely at some point the Aussie is going to recover enough, and if the yen can weaken, this gap will get filled. All right, but for right now, the confirmation is bearish. All right, but I want to see how the stock market recovers this week. So sell zone wise, you sell red. We have red right there. We pull back again. Red right there. We pull back again. You can see we transition from blue back to red. So any transition and we stay in the sell zone, your stop loss is above the shaded zone, and you're going after new points. Every time you score a point for those bears, you can take profit. Score a point for those bears, take profit. So every little push is an opportunity for some profit. So this little run to score a point, you're talking about 50 pips. This little run right here to score a point, you're talking about, again, probably 40 to 50 pips, ends up going about 80 pips. This little level, same thing. You're looking at a stop around 50, and we score a point and push about 80 pips. All the movements last week on Aussie Swiss, Aussie Yen, about 80 pips of movement for the day. So we can, again, all the yen pairs that I referenced, you're going to see this same structure. You can look at a nice, simple scalping opportunity. On the 1 hour chart, you're going to see it's a sell zone, right? Everything's in the sell zone from here. It's been valid and staying valid. You can sell resistance, sell resistance, sell resistance. I happen to like the 30-minute for some scalping. It's a little bit cleaner and less noisy than the 15, but the 15 also offers a lot of precision, right? So we have a sell zone opportunity right here where we go from blue back to red. You can sell. We go from blue back to red. You can sell. We go from blue back to red. You can sell, right? But see how close it is right now? You know, I would not be doing much of anything because we're still on a pullback. But with a 30-minute chart, same thing, just a little bit more distance, a little bit safer to kind of play that sell zone with the stop loss out of the way and not deal with a lot of noise. So right trader is a great way to participate. When I feel like I have to get in or want to get in and trying to get some trades running, this to me is a really, really nice way to get some trades in. So traders that were scalping with me last week, this is a really nice way to do so. And I know a lot of pips are being made because of that. All right, so Aussie Yen, where are we? We came right back down to this level, and this is exactly what we talked about in the trading room. This candle from September, October, we came right back to it. Right now, I'm not saying that I'm bullish. All right, in fact, this can fall back to August lows, but this level plus a gap, I would probably be buying it down here around 70.50 or 7100. All right, I mean, we may see this recover here because that's a nice little buy zone. So I could see stocks recovering this week. I could see risk on trading with the Aussie recovering, the yen and the Swiss being weaker, the dollar hopefully being weaker as well. But technically, that's a great level right there to see some support. And if we hold these levels, we're probably coming back to fill that gap. So that's what I'm looking for this week. I certainly hope that, we see it happen. I mean, that's the point of doing weekly outlooks, is actually having some forecasts and predictions. So I want to see if the stock market can shrug off some things, right? State of the Union might be a little bit more optimistic. CDC and WHO in China doing what it can to contain the coronavirus. So action is being taken, right? If cases are not escalating or not jumping all over the place and not coming in every single day where every headline you check is coronavirus, then we're going to see some stock market recovery. But from a technical standpoint, we fell to a nice level. That is support. That's intermediate support right there around 72.50. And I'm looking for this to come back and fill that gap. But until I have confirmation on something like right trader, I'm staying out of it. Okay. Aussie New Zealand. Love this currency pair. Did not get filled at 10300, but I have a bunch of positions in here. Currently, I'm holding around, I think I'm holding around 11 positions right now. They're all very small. My break even is around 105. So yes, I'm upside down in the net position, but I'm looking at a big take profit around 107.50, if not higher. So I am patiently waiting for this to give me the turn and the confirmation and start trading this to go back up. We'll see how long my beard gets because of this trade. From a technical standpoint, there's a low, there's a low, there's a low. There's a ton of obvious disagreement with momentum. I love it. Just give us the catalyst, right? Give us something bullish here that we can trade. We can buy. We can start adding positions. We can trade equal lows again. We can fill positions more. And I want to get this back up to 107.50. So I really like this trade. Let's just see a nice little U-turn to the upside. Aussie dollar. Came back down to retest a couple of my levels. I have small positions in at these blue lines. I am buying and buying and buying. We're back to lows of last year. We had our flash crash low in January. We revisited those lows in August, but we held firm around 6,700 or 6,650. So we're back there again. Again, weekly chart, 5 weeks in a row bearish. Can we start to turn this week? Can we have an indecision candle this week and correct? Hopefully. I would love to see this come back to 7,000. I'm buying this area, trying to offload these positions. So buying here and looking to offload some profits around 7,000 or higher. All right, so I'm using the structure. I'm using this, 1 year channel, 1 year trend line. Are we just using the backside of it to buy low? I certainly hope that we are. Another one on the weekly chart where we have lows and price, lows and price. Retest those lows. There's been some pretty solid disagreement the entire time. Now, yes, this is long-term planning. This takes time for a larger time frame to come to fruition, but I like the technicals on that pair. CAD Swiss. This one was a scalp, and we had a couple positions filled. Let me go to the daily chart. I took a buy trade, ended up scalping about 50 pips of profit and got back in. That's currently just around 73.30. I'm upside down about 30 pips. I got filled at 7,300 for a more medium-term position, which is my buy zone, which you can see right here. So 7,300 filled, 7,200, 7,100, 7,000. I'm going to level myself into this area to try to go back to 7,600. So I like CAD Swiss a lot, actually. And our Euro CAD was making a lot of profit last week. Our Euro New Zealand made a ton of profit last week. Traders closed anywhere from 400 to 500 pips or over 1,000 pips, depending on how many positions you were adding. But this was a great trade. CAD Swiss, we wanted it to fall for us, which would help our Euro CAD get bullish and get some profits. Our Euro New Zealand went up as well. So I got filled at 73.37 was a buy trade during one of my live sessions. 7,300 was a pending order that was filled at equal lows. And I'm just going to be patient. I'm going to try to hang on to this area all the way back towards 7,550 or 7,600 and take some profit. So this is really looking at kind of the medium term. If it has to fall a little bit lower, then I'll wait for this trend line to break, add more to it down here. But I have 73, 72, 71, 7,000. This is an area that I'm going to build up and take some profit at 76. That's CAD Swiss. CAD Yen. This one I'll show you on Right Trader because that's what we did last week as we followed that trade here. Right, so there's your price gap. We come back and fill it. There's that transition from blue to red. There's your sell trade. That's exactly where we sold it last week in class. Went all the way down, had a trailing stop on here that did get knocked out for around plus 30. It was like plus 30, plus 35. I think the entire movement right here, so we sold it. We had about 60 pips of movement, got stopped out with a trailing stop around plus 30, plus 35. We had another transition right here from blue to red. You can sell it there, take it down, score a point. That's another 70 pips of opportunity with a very minimum risk. So good trading, good scalping. Now I'm waiting. But it was a good trade last week just to jump on board, make a few pips without a lot of risk on the CAD Yen. Where are we technically on the higher time frame? We are coming back into these previous lows, which I said over the last couple of weeks, don't be surprised to see this low revisited or this level revisited. So we may still be able to fall a little bit more on the CAD Yen. I'm curious if, if we see an uptick in oil, if that'll actually help the CAD recover a little bit. So again, following oil, following the CAD, and of course, seeing if stock markets recover, then that should weaken the yen. But watch for these technical levels to give us some bounces. I think we could have a bounce right there with a softer yen, a bounce right there with a softer yen, or a stronger CAD to get this thing to go bullish in the near term. Plus, with this strong move to the downside, we have had very little pullback. So this could be a bit of a pullback week, looking to see if stocks can bounce back. Let's see here. Swiss yen, safe haven versus safe haven. Bounced off previous resistance, becoming support. Not doing anything with this trade right now other than standing aside to see how it reacts with price action. Euro Aussie, we ended up taking a sell trade at 63.50. It just, actually, this is pretty amazing. It came back to retest this large running channel / rising wedge. Also, the way that it reacted was almost, actually, it was quite irrational. But the market can do whatever it needs. So I did take a sell trade at 63.50. We rejected there. I didn't sell it at that level. I didn't sell it at the high from Friday or anything like that. But I'm looking for a possible sell opportunity around 66.50 to the high all the way back here in August 2019, around 67.75. So that's my next pending high up there. I'm going to see what price does. I wouldn't be surprised if the Aussie recovers and we start coming back down to here. So I'm still going to hold 63.50 as is. I'm going to see if this ends up coming back to 6,000, where I will definitely take some profit. If the Euro Aussie makes this move that I have illustrated, then expect that Aussie Swiss to go higher as well. And that will be profit on both pairs. So looking forward to that trade. Let's see if it happens. Euro CAD. Traders should be able to grab some pips. We were in at 44.57. We took some profit. This ended up running nicely towards the high 46.83. I said if we get to 4,700, look to grab some pips. If you're not out of the trade, that is totally fine. You can still hold it. We can have a pullback here. Intermediate resistance becomes support. Let's see if we can get one more nudge up towards 4,700 or higher. We also have a yearly pivot at 48.70. So I still like to look long on the Euro CAD. Euro Swiss. Look for 106.50 to 106.00. We're still not on the right side of this trend line. So this is still leveling. For me, I'm leveling in small to the Euro Swiss and looking to see what happens on the right side of the trend line. In fact, this is so important because that's going to be my next module. Module 4 for my Keep It Seriously Simple video series is going to be all about trend lines. So I'm waiting for the right side of the trend line. I'm looking for the right side of the trend line. Once we get that, then I'll look to add positions and see where confirmation can take us. Hopefully all the way back to 110, 110.50. Previous support and resistance run 111. That's going to be a big win, but patience required for right now, and confirmation on the right side of the trend line has yet to happen. Euro Pound. Euro Pound, nice reaction to the upside. We are currently around break even, 84.79, and that's exactly where we're trading. So a nice move to the upside with a weaker pound, and bring it on. I like that trade for us. We're in profit. Let's see if we can get back to these highs around 85.80 or higher. I'd like to see it go even more than that, around way up here around 8,800. So we're holding a position. We did expect the pound to weaken in the near term. So we ended up taking a trade right here in the back of the trend line. We'll see if this can get back up to these highs and start working its way back into these October inefficiencies from last year. So looking for a weaker pound. Speaking of weaker pound, pound Aussie, we are seeing it. And that's not a surprise at all. Really nice way to trade that London session. Pound Canadian, same thing. We are seeing a weaker pound. Easy trade for the day is a weaker pound. And we expected this from last week. Right? We had Thursday, pound strength. We traded it live. We traded with pound strength because that's the flow of the morning. Friday was an indecision day, and today is another decision day, which is good. So decision on Thursday, indecision Friday, decision today, pound is weaker. And pound Swiss, for example, should be falling into this area. I like this near-term weakness. I am planning to buy it here around 2,200 and again at the lows around 1,800. And from there, we'll see if this is more range trading or hopefully another opportunity to buy super, super low on the pound. That's pound Swiss. I like that trade. Pound yen, I'm going to stay clear of this one. However, keep an eye out for this one as a big bearish opportunity. This actually looks to me like a really nice head and shoulders. Left shoulder, head to neckline. If we're breaking this area, necklines can get a little noisy, but if we break and go, this has a lot of room to fall. So I think pound yen, if you're looking to participate, you can get some really easier confirmation with something like this sentiment strength line. You can get some really nice confirmation with a system like Right Trader. Okay, here's a 30-minute chart. You can see that today it's starting to enter into the sell zone. So we went straight up last week, straight down today. There's more volatility on this pair. I want to see what happens here. If we pull back a little bit and then push lower, then I'm looking to kind of activate with breaking these lows, activate more selling opportunities on this pound yen and keep Right Trader in the forefront so we can get some opportunities over and over and over again to sell this and participate as long as possible. Pound New Zealand, straight up from last week, straight down today. You can see this on the candlestick chart. Right back up towards those highs. Man, what a great opportunity that was. Right there at equal highs, 2.04. What was the high from last week? Let me zoom in. 2.0431. Right where we wanted to sell it. 2.04, 2.0450. Great rejection. Again, easy way to trade the London session. Look at that 1 hour candle. So 3 a.m., that's 2 a.m. Man, that was such a good breakout. Right there's 3 a.m. You bracket that in, you can see from 4 a.m. to 5 a.m., big push. Or 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. UK time, huge push. So that little breakout closed 2.03. It's currently down to 2.01. That's almost 200 pips on the day on this one currency pair. Really, really solid move. Pound dollar. Everyone was wondering if the pound can come back and fill this right tip. Well, it certainly looks like it's trying to right now. Here's the pound dollar looking to fall. If we break this structure, again, we're trading just above 3,000. If we're bearish below I'm bearish below 3,000. So if this price breaks and closes below 3,000, look at what hasn't happened yet. We haven't broken these lows. We're not bearish below this trend line. If we get below 3,000 firmly, this is where I'm looking to be actively selling. Right in here. I can sell this down for all of 200 pips. 200 pips to 2,800, 250 pips to 2,750. It can fall lower than that, but it's a good way to confirm that we have some bearishness and hopefully see this run in trend for us for a little bit. So look for this to break below 3,000 and stay bearish on that pound US dollar to the downside. Let's see here. Pound dollar. Let's go New Zealand CAD. New Zealand CAD. We had a couple small buy trades that were filled. I'm looking to get back up towards 88.50 or 9,000. This one might take its time. I might just need to wait for a trend line break. Something like this. If that trend line breaks, we should have one more push to the upside towards 9,000. So I'm going to look to get some New Zealand CAD moving to the upside. New Zealand Swiss. The Swiss was strong. We have a couple of positions in. Bought it there at a pivot. It didn't hold, right? We had this resistance. It didn't really become support. The Swiss was a little wild and crazy last week with the scares, but we have equal lows over here that I'm buying from. So small position. I'm looking for disagreement here. Don't quite have it yet, but once we build some positions, looking to trade the range from lows around 62 to 61, back up towards 65 and 66. So really, to me, it's just a range trade on the New Zealand Swiss. New Zealand Yen. Same thing as Aussie Yen. We're back to a trend line. We're looking for some recovery. We have some gaps in the market on the 1 hour chart. If the stock market recovers, there's a really nice gap right there around 72.03. Okay, if this structure ends up, that's a little nasty trend line. Don't use that trend line. Just wait, just watch. If we have confirmation on a smaller time frame, look at Right Trader. If we start getting into the buy zone, we have a gap right there that's very obvious. So give it some time. Let's see if we can get here first, maybe come down and fail to take out that low, get some confirmation in the buy zone, and that's a nice trade to fill that gap. All right. Otherwise, of course, traders can say the trend is your friend, and you can sell that with minimum risk and see if it scores a point and pushes lower. But I would like to think if the stock market can recover, we can contain this coronavirus stuff, that the market had one of the worst weeks in 6 months, and maybe it's looking for a little bit of a dip to buy. We'll find out. But we'll see what happens. All right. From a technical standpoint, again, where are we? Let's go to the daily chart. We do have some trend line support. We also have previous resistance becoming future support right there. So this could be a nice little stochastic U-turn to the upside, a nice little cycle from low to high. We could have a retracement week on some of these yen pairs, offering a bit of a retracement or some bullishness. Let's see here, New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar, we did take a small position around 64.75. That was filled. And I'm looking to see, will this level hold right here? So we have this swing to the upside, a retracement. I'm looking to see, can we hold this previous resistance becoming future support right there? If we do, let's see some bullishness this week. Combination of seeing some bullishness, breaking this trend line, and trying to recapture that high and going up. If it falls all the way back down, I'm still kind of prepared for that, expecting this low around 62 to hold. So I still remain, kind of bearish on the dollar in the medium term, and pairs like Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar should be recovering nicely. This China stuff, coronavirus stuff does have to kind of become quiet to help, because otherwise there's just a tremendous amount of pressure on the Aussie and New Zealand right now because of the effect on China. 32.50, this is the same movement on dollar CAD that we forecasted from 3,000. It's been bullish off of 3,000. It remains bullish and is likely drifting higher towards 3,300 to 3,350. So if you're bullish, stay with it. If you're looking for opportunities, stay with it. But you're looking now to protect profit. I wouldn't say buy it here at 32.50. I'd say wait, let it drift higher, and then you can look to sell resistance around 3,300 to 3,350. So we'll see where it hits. Look for some indecision at the highs around 33 and change, and we might have some chances to sell it this week. Dollar Swiss. I'm long term on this one, and I want to see this one get back to 1.00 or higher. If it has to fall one more time to 95.50, that's fine. I'll buy it there, but I'm looking to get back to 1.00. Dollar yen. Dollar yen is really important. I talked about this in my trading room last week. Speaking of, I know that I have been getting a lot of comments. Chris, how can I join your trading room? I will send out a direct link. Give me like maximum 2 weeks, okay? And the reason why is I want to be able to track, if you're getting the link from me and you're joining my trading room from me, I want to be able to track that information. So that's what I'm waiting for. So again, give me a couple weeks to have that direct link, but I will be posting these in comments on my YouTube channel, these weekly outlooks. And if anybody's interested in joining me in my trading room, we trade 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. We're together for anywhere from 6 to 8 hours, bonus sessions all the time, stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. It's super active. We made a ton of pips last year, and I'm expecting to do the exact same thing this year. We just take good quality trades and talk it all out, just like a trading community should do. But like I said, I'll get that link hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Dollar yen, write this down. 108 is a big support level that if it breaks, we should be falling towards 105. 110, if it breaks to the upside, we should be going to 112. So I do think that right now the dollar yen is going to be a lot of indecision. But if we break above 110, I'm long. If we break below 108, I'm short. All right, so break below 108, I'm going after 105. Break above 110, I'm going after 112. I do think that we will have enough volume and momentum to push in that direction. But it has been sideways and a big roller coaster since last year in August, September, October. We had a little recovery in August. We drifted higher into about October, and from there you can see that the indecision on the dollar, the strength and weakness that's been fluctuating on dollar and yen has forced this pair to go sideways. But that's really the shift in momentum, in my opinion, as a break below 108 takes us down to fresh lows or retest the lows around 106, 105. A break above 110 gets us back into 112 or possibly even higher at 114. So I want those levels to give us something. I'm not really doing anything on dollar yen until those levels break. All right, some exotic pairs, peso, krone, pairs like that, staying out of them for right now. The krone slid as oil slid from highs to lows. The krone went from lows to highs. So I'm staying out of this stuff right now. I'm not going to get in front of this. I'm not going to short this. I'm just staying out of exotic pairs for right now. But eventually we'll have a good trade. This is probably my favorite setup for an exotic pair. It's the euro krone, right? 10.18, 10.30, looking for some heavy resistance. I just don't really like how this behaved. You have a big low right there and a straight up move. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the top, but if we drift a little bit higher, I am looking for some noticeable disagreement. If we get that, then I'll start looking for selling. But as an exotic pair and something that might be highly volatile, I like to play it safe sometimes, and I'll probably just make sure it's a great setup before I take any trade on it. All right. So it's going to be an exciting week. We have, I believe, the Iowa caucus this week, if I'm not mistaken. We have the State of the Union from President Trump. We'll see where the coronavirus gets us. Right now, it's a little bit of a fresh breath of air for the market. The pound is weakening like we expected it to. It just took, a Thursday prop, a Friday indecisive move, and today it's all about bearishness. So really good technical trading coming back to those levels from last week. I'm loving the short-term recovery on the Aussie and New Zealand. Hopefully that will continue. Hopefully the stock market's ready to continue as well. Losses in the 2% range last week. We'll see what the SPY has in store. So I'll go to SPY and I'll end this session. Thanks for being with me today. Here's a SPY, just a quick look on the daily. Around a 3.5% correction last week. Okay, so 3.5%, look at where we're coming back into today. It's the market's been open for about an hour. Let's go to dashboard. Let's go to Market Watch. See what the headline is. Okay, coronavirus will shake markets out of their buy the dip mentality. Yep, we're seeing that. But look what's happening today. Futures is on the recovery. U.S. markets on the recovery. Even with the scare last week and a big drop, if there is a pullback, it will be interesting to see, is it a sell the rally, right? If we are having a pullback today, a pullback for the first couple of days, and then more coronavirus spreads or more coronavirus worse, whatever. The news gets worse, right? If we have a correction and it's sell the rally, now we're talking, okay, this is legit if that happens. But if we have scare, and all of a sudden the market recovers 60, 70, 80, 90, all of that move from last week, then okay, clearly the market's able to shrug it off like it has everything else, right? Protests in Hong Kong, North Korea, Russia, impeachment, Iran, oil. How many things has the market shrugged off in the last couple of years? Everything, right? So, is the coronavirus going to be put in perspective? Possibly. Okay, we'll find out. But so far, the U.S. market is responding nicely to it. If it's a sell the rally, we'll find out in the next couple of days. All right, so that's going to do it for this weekly outlook. Again, I'll be having a video posted. It'll be module 4 of my video series, Best Trading Strategy, Keep It Seriously Simple. This module is going to be all about trend lines. If you're looking for me out there on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, you can find me. Drop me a like, subscribe to my channel, and talk to you all very soon. See you this week in the trading room. It's going to be a good week. Hopefully, have some nice pips and opportunities just like last week to cash in. All right, traders, talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.